Oh, joy, you all are here with me. I've got to move this over just a little bit. There we go. Happy Saturday, everybody. What's good? Hope you're great. Just as a reminder, the April intake discounted window for coaching started, it was like April 4th or something. I've booked 8 slots so far. There are 6 to 8 slots open for each of the programs. So those 8 slots are split between the single session call, the 3-month, and the 6 months. So there's still many slots left. But once they all fill, which they're filling rather quickly, at least in the last few days, prices go back to normal. And I think coaching, I'll be at capacity at that point. So coaching will actually go away. You won't be able to book me for coaching for probably a month, maybe 2 months, something like that. So just consider it. I'll leave the graphic on the screen and I'll put it on the top left corner. Let's talk about a couple things. So I often get very general questions and I want to dissuade people from thinking in generalities. One of them is the best Cypionate dose, and I did a video breaking down the best Cypionate dose, and it was really doses because you've got to think about it in the context of the individual who, how that individual may respond to that ester and where their estrogen needs to be and whether or not they were starved of DHT for a while prior and all manner of other factors. But if I were to give a general dose on Cypionate, it'd be between 120 and 140 milligrams a week with between 70 and 150 IU of HCG every day. That's the best range. You're a lot less likely. So let me break this down. In that case, you're a lot less likely to over-aromatize, but you have enough androgens to support erectile function, specifically DHT to support erectile function. And you're running it a little close, but you're going to be in the androgen dominant state there. And that's all you need on TRT is to be in the androgen dominant state. Now, the reason, let me clear something else up for people. The reason that there are men that can tolerate 55, 65, 75 picograms per milliliter of estradiol, and those rare few do exist, is because, number one, you have to ask yourself this question. Do you want to be in a place where the side effects from very elevated or excessively supraphysiologic testosterone, namely H&H, but acne, aggression, etc., potentially gynecomastia from the elevated estrogen, do you want to be able to tolerate that? Because your body's definitely not used to that. I mean, those are not cycle level, but it's sports TRT level doses of testosterone. Secondly, I think that there is a degree of androgen receptor sensitivity or androgen receptor activation that is very efficient in some individuals, and this is not very common, and it's not something you can induce in yourself to be able to tolerate higher doses of test and therefore higher amounts of estrogen. But for those people, it's definitely the case, if they still have erections, that the androgen signal is stronger than the estrogenic signal, and that the estrogen is just giving them what they need for joint and cardiovascular health and brain health, but it's not impeding the androgenic action, specifically of DHT with that long affinity binding at the androgen receptors in the penis and elsewhere. This is not common, right? But admittedly, there are people that can tolerate these higher levels of estradiol. And in those cases, it's just the androgen signal has to be higher. For those individuals, they're super rare, and there's AR sensitivity and probably some other factors that go into that. Once you get past a certain threshold, no matter what, you're going to have erectile difficulties, and the sexual system will not be balanced because you're talking about hormone levels your body will never be used to and has never been used to and isn't really equipped to deal with. Going on cycle, you'll have people have pretty good libido and erections for like the first maybe month or so. And then it's like the ratios get wacky. The estrogen comes up too much. They're sitting at 4,000 total tests or 6,000 total tests with loads of DHT, but it's still not enough to compensate for that. So back to the best dose. Honestly, you're looking at 120 to 140 milligrams with 70, 75 to 150 IU of HCG every day. That's frankly the best way that you can dose long esters. In fact, for anabolism purposes, if I ever go back on a long ester, that's what I'll be doing. But I'm pretty happy on cream at the moment. Okay, let's talk about prop megadoses. There's a lot of question about the best frequency and best dose for testosterone propionate. It is difficult to dial in, but if you do, you will have an amazing time on TRT. And it'll be a lot better than your time on longer esters or any other modality, really, if you can dial it in, just because of the dopamine hit and the energy feels that prop delivers. But I've seen a lot of success in coaching with people doing every other day dosing of pretty bolus amounts of it, so that you keep a very good androgen tone throughout. And estradiol, though, goes up, it isn't crowding out the androgen signal. So in those cases, it's like 60, 65, 70, 80 milligrams every other day of test prop with very limited HCG, so you don't crowd out the androgenic signal with estrogen. Those are the kind of things that I've seen, and those are kind of along the lines of, mega dosing, right? I mean, like 6 times 7 is 420, so it's not per day. So 3 times 7, 21. Yeah, like 210 milligrams of prop a week, something like that. Possibly a little bit more, just something to keep in mind. All right, let's get to questions if we have them. I hope you guys have had a great weekend so far, and I hope your lives are heading in the right direction, brother. For me, I'm just ready to get outside. We've had little glimpses of spring. I went to Florida the 20th to the 27th of March, so kind of got to kick off good weather, get a tan, come back, and it's April, so it's pretty good. Right now it's like 59 and sunny today. Tomorrow 70, so it's pretty good. Good morning from Peru, brother. Hey Ryan, been seeing a lot of theories about PFS being from AR and neurosteroid issues. Yeah, I don't think it's from androgen receptor issues at all. Can all the effects of PFS truly be reversed with a good TRT, HRT protocol? Yes, yeah, they can. Yeah, I've yet to see a person who at least complies with me not get better over time, and if they have enough time to work through multiple adjustments to get everything right from them. The people that don't get better with PFS are usually people who, like I've had a guy where the common side effects of testosterone when you're starting, which your body eventually gets used to, like elevated heart rate, maybe heart palps, anxiety, just too much for him, right? He just gave up and ultimately didn't get better. I've had people, run in targeted protocols for PFS that after like 3-4 weeks, they were just like, you know what? This is overwhelming for me. I'm going to take it into my own hands again. And that's that. So I do have compliance issues with coaching in general. 10-15% of people just do not want to comply or want to run the protocol their way or want to make fucking frequent changes that make absolutely no physiologic sense or pharmacokinetic sense, and just digging their own graves, man. But other than that, yes, sometimes it's remarkably easy. Like, I got a guy on a low dose of Cypionate with some HCG and DHEA. He's dialed in. It's just estrogen's 33, total T's 700, DHT's 90 something. He's just dialed in. And that got full-blown PFS. That got everything back. But other people, they need to be on more complicated protocols like 200 milligrams of enanthate a week and 0.125 milligrams of anastrozole every other day, with 200 IU HCG every day. And some people do better on a long ester with proviron and Cialis and HCG. It all really depends on the person. So in the end, as long as somebody has enough time to work through the adjustments, you can dial in an HRT protocol to replace what PFS is causing you to be deficient in. PFS causes hypopituitarism. These guys have markedly reduced luteinizing hormone and FSH secretion, which probably goes all the way up to the gonadotropes, the specialized cells that secrete gonadotropins, and they themselves may be impaired from the use of finasteride. At the same time, though, obviously it's a biased conversion of testosterone into estradiol versus DHT. So that alone will give you sexual dysfunction. That will take some time to recover. Hey, Ryan, alongside testosterone cream, 10% for on the scrotum, how would you dose test prop? I would dose it every other day, and I'd start at like 10 milligrams every other day, because that stuff can, at 10 milligrams, take you up 1,000 additional nanograms per deciliter on top of where you are. So I'd be particularly careful with that, and that's where I would start. You might find that you can tolerate more. On 25 a day of prop with 90, 100 IU of HCG, I don't go over in my estrogen range, and the androgen tone supports like 35 estradiol in that case, and I feel fine. I'm just not very anabolic, The fast-acting stuff, cream included, less anabolic than Cypionate and anything, obviously, but cream is better. That would be my suggestion, man. Any advice for PFS guys looking to run prop? hyper responder to Cypionate. So total T is 760, E2 35, DHT 69 on 12 milligrams sip with 125 IU. If I were you, I would take that 125 IU and take it down to 90. The E2 will fall at 27 or so, and you should be good. Now, if for some reason you're not, then cool, go to prop, but you're probably going to want to try higher doses every other day, like 60 milligrams every other day, 70 milligrams every other day. You're going to need to watch that estrogen. You know, I mean, if it gets substantially over range and you're not starting to get symptom resolution, that's probably the reason. You have to figure out if you need to take an AI to reduce that. Again, I've got a guy that's dialed in on that has fucking one of the worst cases of PFS I've ever seen. 200 milligrams of enanthate a week. He's doing every other day injections. He's running 0.125 of an anastrozole every other day, and he's running 200 IU of HCG every day. So, you know, I mean, if you need to take an AI in that case, you need to take an AI. So long as it's sustainable, it doesn't eventually give you joint pain and make it easier for you to get injured in the gym. That's one of the problems with AIs. You know, it's like you never know when you're going to overshoot. And if you're not real fucking careful with your dose, you overshoot. You start starving critical tissues of estrogen, and you're likely to get injuries at the gym and have joint pain and stuff. And so it's got to be careful. I know you're a fan of once weekly dosing of Arimidex, want it every other day. The every other day for people, unless they are people who profoundly over aromatize and under convert to DHT, like my PFS guy that I just described, this is going to tank your estradiol at the tissues. You're going to end up with ED, libido loss, headaches, anxiety, joint pain, you know, bone mineral density loss after you do that for many years. That's why those drugs, because unless you're a substantial over aromatizer and under converted to DHT, every other day is 48 hours. That's only the drug's half-life. At 48 hours, 50 fucking % of that anastrozole is still working for another 48 hours. That's day 4. And then at that point, 25% still blocking aromatase enzymes. That's why. Unless you're running mega doses of test or you're an over aromatizer and under converted to DHT, this is going to cause you to have health problems, and you'll never dial in. You mentioned that you will start Proviron. I'll run 12.5 milligrams twice a day. That's the best for me. Yep, that is the best for me. It depends. I mean, if I go on a slightly higher dose of either, I wouldn't do cream and Proviron. It's just overkill for DHT. I wouldn't need it. It would be more a case for Cypionate in the 120 to 140 range, just generally helps things. And 12.5 twice a day is good. Nukes my hair no matter what, but is what it is. Hey, thank you for your super chat, my brother. My brother. I had a pretty good week with the casinos. Some of you know, but those of you didn't, I'm an advantage casino player. It's become a professional thing at this point. I've made, and on average, about $15,000 a month this year, like $15K each month, but it was split up into different wins. There was a $17K hit. There was many $9K, $10K hits, these kinds of things, but an average about $15,000 a month with advantage playing. And this week, I think I did like $8,000 or $9,000 this week. So I've had a good week for that, which is my other kind of profession, if you will. I actually accidentally became a professional gambler. It's not something I'm interested in. I always thought it was fucking stupid. And then I figured out how to read systems. I just have a savant-like brain for certain things. I'm terribly stupid with other shit. Terribly fucking stupid. Like you couldn't get me to, there's certain household shit that like, I just have no idea. And I'm terribly dumb when it comes to some certain stuff, but I seem to be significantly effective at pattern recognition and the deep study of things. It's where I ADHD out and get gnarly on stuff. So I've done well. I've been thinking about, day trading, obviously risky as well, but would take a while to learn. Not interested enough, I guess. How much would you say ED is partly psychological? 0. Great question. Let's talk about this. 0, dude. 0. People saying that erectile dysfunction is psychological, are lazy people scapegoating your psyche based on a lack of understanding of the underlying vasculature and physiology and sex hormones and brain elements that drive erectile quality. That isn't to say that if you have good erection function and you're getting down with your girlfriend or something like, and something happens that truly disturbs the mood, like messes with the mood, that isn't to say that you won't have less function, but that is not you having ED. That's more, your neurons are firing, your brain is firing different chemicals at the moment, potentially some noradrenaline, which would actually shut down the erectile response because, it is it's an anti-erectile chemical. It's one of the reasons that estrogen too high causes ED in people without the right androgen tone, because it increases anti-erectile chemicals like noradrenaline. But other than that, no, it is not like you can't will yourself into having ED. Listen, here's the other thing. If your hormone profile is very correct, erectile function is extremely automatic. So is libido. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to focus extra on it. You don't have to think about the wildest porn you may have recently seen or some fantasy in your head that you were recently thinking about. It just naturally happens. That's the right hormone profile. So you can't think yourself or psyche yourself out of that. At the same time, I would love some of these people who, again, I don't want to sound like a demeaning jerk off, but like are definitely undereducated in this matter. I'd love for them to explain mechanistically why this happens. Give me some clear chain of events, starting from acetylcholine in the brain and oxytocin and spinal interneurons to the pudendal nerve and dorsal nerve, that explains erectile dysfunction from your psyche. I'd just love to see a chain there. Yeah, they couldn't come up with one. I mean, it's largely nonsense. Largely nonsense, because there is no chain. You can't affect that chain to a great extent or to any meaningful extent with your mind. I lowered my daily HCG dose to 150 IU down to 100, and joints are no longer inflamed, and I'm not red and lobster-faced anymore, even though E2 is still the same. Dave Lee talks about this all the fucking time. Again, and I've brought him on the podcast to entertain the idea that HCG is doing shit that we don't know about. And until we've got a lot of studies on it. I think Dave makes it like we don't have any degree of literature, and there is, but there's certainly shit we just don't know about long-term, taking it. I know when I was dosing 330 a day, it worked for my protocol. It was very DHT centric, and there was it's a very limited estrogen. So the HCG was like providing the estrogen that I needed, and I liked the very plump testicles and the very good sensation and semen quality and all that kind of stuff. But for sure, it would make me feel a little pressure-headed at times. And it's just unlikely due to the estradiol in that case. So yeah, I mean, HCG, it's highly immunogenic. So it's interacting with fucking cytokines and your immune system in general. We really don't know, right? So this kind of stuff happens, and it goes back to Dave's contention that there's like unknown shit going on. And I agree. I love the shit. Like my protocol without HCG is very bad. So like I love it. I need it. I'm excited to go re-up on UGL HCG, but it's not an easy drug to take. Like you've got to really dial it in for your physiology. Otherwise you probably run into side effects and have problems. Z minor, been taking Jatenzo. So this is the oral or the nasal? It's like fast acting test. Total T962, 23 estradiol, DHT probably good given above numbers. I've not checked yet. Okay, I mean, what is your question? Because that looks fine. The estrogen might be a little low. But I mean, I suppose if you feel good, you feel good. I don't think that stuff has been. I know that stuff hasn't been stress tested So I wouldn't. Me personally, I would never take it. I mean, I'd switch to testosterone Cypionate before I would take that stuff. At least I know I can dial that in. What's up, brother? Hope you guys are ready for the spring. I truly am. I've been having this conversation with my girlfriend, and she's got kids who live in Pittsburgh and are in college in Penn State and elsewhere. And so it's like, she's got to be here for them. And there's just a bunch of pending shit in her life that's going on, financial stuff and otherwise. So it's like, we can't quite snowbird, which is what we want to do, where you go to a tropical place or a warm climate for the winter so that you don't have to deal with the winters of the Northeast or wherever you are. That's really cold. And going to Florida reminded me how much I like warm weather. I mean, it's nice to be able to go run outside. I'm doing that after this live stream. I'm going outside and I'm running in the city. And it's going to be glorious. I just can't fucking wait. So I'm happy that we're now in the season where we get to enjoy ourselves, because this whole last 6 months, although Jill and I did go out, we did do things. We went out for pizza every fourth night or third night. We weren't running outside. We couldn't go to the North Shore where the Steelers Stadium is and have a good time and walk around and go to Southern Tier. They've got a brewery there and a fun outside bar. We just can't do that. So I'm truly happy that we're back to nicer weather. It's going to make for a much happier half a year. Hope you guys are too. Finasteride user 18 months ago started 25 a test prop daily, 100 IU HCG. Okay, so that's okay. 20 milligrams DHEA, 5 milligrams Cialis before bed. 3 days in, not as dialed in. Not feeling great. Libido sensation. The best day was last week. So you went in and out of your window is what happened. Yeah, there was a period in which the androgen-estrogen ratio was good for you, and you've got to work tirelessly to find that and keep yourself there. Have you ever had an ultra-low dose daily prop for high responders, 5 to 10 milligrams? Now, I think the lowest I've ever seen is 12 milligrams a day. Yeah. Yep. I've seen 15 take someone above 1,500, though. So that guy probably does better on about 10 milligrams a day. Arnold, FSH 0.8, LH 0.2. Okay. UHA 57 micrograms. Total test 1180. Estradiol below 30. Well, yeah, your FSH and LH are going to be low on testosterone. Sip dose 80 milligrams 2x weekly started. 2 months stopped the anastrosol libido. So any ideas? Now, this is very convoluted for me, man. I think you got to put it in a different way. Super chat that, please, if you want to discuss. Hey, man. 29 male, 6'2". Currently, high body fat, 20%. Serum T 290. Ugh. Doctor here does not consider me hypogonadal. Okay, where are you? Are you not in the States? Yeah, that's hypogonadal. I mean, either way, that's hypogonadal. Is that a VA doc? Sometimes the VA doctors are, excuse my brashness, but total idiots. Yeah, you're hypogonadal, dude. If that's nanograms per deciliter, you're deficient in testosterone. I can't give you a dose for TRT. I mean, you can book me for coaching or a single session call if you'd like, but you'd want to start on the low end. Between 100 and 130 milligrams a week with a very little bit of HCG. And, you're going to have to learn TRT and figure out what your hormone profiles in terms of DHT, estrogen, total T need to be for you. And you'll definitely need to experiment a while to figure things out. But at 290, get on TRT. Yeah, definitely. That's going to change your life, dude. It's going to change your life going on that. And your life will be substantially subpar until you get on it. Mike, have you seen people on testosterone cream E2 drop really low? Yes. Yes. So let's talk about this. Look, DHT, dude, I don't think people really understand. So I went and did all the research on this, and DHT itself downregulates the genes that encode the aromatase enzyme. So you have less aromatase enzyme activity at tissues just from having very high DHT, using exogenous DHT, probably using proviron too. So that's one way by which it does it. At the same time, DHT terminates estrogen's gene expression. Now, we don't know to what extent, what percentage. But estrogen can just be floating around, agonizing ERA, ERB receptors. The whole genetic sequence after, which makes you notice that effect, it gets terminated by DHT. Yeah, that's why you can put transdermal DHT like on your breasts if you're a male and you're getting gyno, and it works, right? Because it goes in and blocks the gene expression. So when you're using transcranial cream via loads of 5-AR enzymes in your balls, you are making a lot of DHT. Dude, the DHT numbers that I've seen are so super physiologic, like in coaching with people on cream, 250, 300, 350 on moderate, high normal doses of cream. It's so much DHT. So you're going to be blocking estrogen to a significant extent. And some people on cream end up getting low E2 side effects, i.e. fucking joint pain, debilitating joint pain, injuries at the gym, and eventually sexual dysfunction from cream because it's just too much DHT. Like, remember, there has to be a balance in everything. Estradiol is very fucking important to be in the right place. It essentially allows you to have good sexual function when it's in the right place, below which you're going to not have good sexual function, and above which your androgen estrogen ratio is going to be all kinds of fucked up and you won't have good sexual function. And it doesn't scale upward, unless you want, for some people, it'll never scale upward, but unless you want 54 hematocrit and, acne all over your body. You could just be at 3,000 total tests and 78 estradiol if you want to. But, again, for most people, that's not even going to work. And for those that it can work, is it really worth taking that much test? Unless you're on cycle. Yeah, so I have seen this happen. I've seen this happen, and you just, you want to be careful with it. That's why you use HCG as a lever on cream. If it's dropping the E2 too low, you increase the HCG dose. If it's dropping the E2 too low, you use Cypionate as a once weekly add-on. Like, that's why I was doing that, because the E2 would be like 20, and for me, I didn't have any joint pain, but my libido dropped when it did that. So I would add 40 milligrams Cypionate once a week, and it just pop right back up. The estrogen go up 7 to 10 points. My libido would be gnarly, and it didn't affect erection quality negatively. SR 63-220 definitely needs the HCG in the protocol, but for sensitive. But I just couldn't believe that I've been fighting this inflammation feeling for years, and all along it was HCG. Well, that's a wild one, dude. I wouldn't know the mechanism by which that happens, other than the fact that it's immunogenic. So if you had gotten long COVID, or you took the you've got all manner of, like, what's the guy's name? Is the guy named Dr. Bruce Patterson. He's probably the leading person studying both the effects from the and long COVID itself. And that guy's broken down mechanistically what goes wrong with our immune function when we have long COVID or have been afflicted by getting the And if you had that, then anything that's immunogenic is going to fuck with you. Histamine is going to fuck with you. So it's probably not HCG itself, but the fact that HCG is immunogenic and you've got some other underlying thing is more likely the explanation for it. Yeah, definitely dose dependent. I've been exploring and coaching over the last 6-7 months, which led me to do some recent videos. People that are having a hell of a time dialing in with HCG at moderate doses, dropping them down to very low doses where we got 60 to 65 to 75% testicular functionality, not 100. But it's the only way they can dial in on TRT is with low dose HCG. So, yeah, I mean, to answer your question here, you should go look at the recent video that I did, because I'll answer that question in that video. Like, I answered it. Let me just try to find the name of the video for you. Yeah, well, there's two of them. There's, it was 3 days ago. How much HCG do you actually need on TRT? Okay, that's the video you want to watch. Go to videos on our channel and you'll see it. That will answer that question for you and break it down. Then you've got to decide, like, what do you want? Max fertility or stellar sexual function and well-being? For some people, that's the choice they have to make. They can't be dosed in high doses of HCG. It just fucks with them. It just messes them up. So you got to figure out, where you need to be. Again, 60 to 70 IU a day, 90 IU a day. I bet you'll have a lot better of a time down there. I don't know what we ended up lowering it into, but was it? Yeah. 62.5 IU a day or 125 every other day gives you 75% function. In the studies, it's going to be variable with your body, but that's generally what it's looking like. Mike, ever since getting on cream, I might, but not sure, have low E2. Wrist was sprained at work, turning a T pitcher. Last time I tested E2 was 18. Yeah, it's probably doing that again. That's why, so it's a double-edged sword a little bit. That's why cream is so good, right? Because we want to have estrogen in our range and have it not be crowding out the androgenic signal. Otherwise, you're going to have sexual dysfunction. But at the same time, we can't have too low of it. And with cream, the DHT, again, I did all this research on DHT's effect on estradiol. Like, I had to hunt deeper into the literature and piece some pieces of information from some papers together with other ones to discover that it's blocking the genes that encode aromatase enzymes. And, of course, it inhibits some estrogen gene expression. So it's like a built-in AI. That's what cream is. That's why it's so good, but it could also be, bad. This guy needs to get on tier T. Videos are helpful. What I'm most worried about is the extra aromatization due to high body fat percentage and getting gyno. I wouldn't be too concerned about it. The likelihood of getting gyno is pretty low on TRT. You might have some, itchy nipples or some painful nipples in the beginning, but it's probably going to get better after that. But at the end, you reduce that body fat to 15, 20%. Yeah, you just have to be in a mild deficit 4 or 5 days, or 3 days a week, maintenance for another 2 days, and then a mild surplus for 2 days to make it sustainable weight loss. At the same time, anytime you're trying to lose weight, you got to look at everything you're doing and cut out the things that are excessively high calorie that you don't need, but keep the real food in. If you're drinking like a fucking Victory Sour Monkey every night or two, it's like 280 calories a can. It's 9% alcohol though. That's kind of why. So you got to look at those things and figure out what to kill in your regimen that is excessively calorie dense while still maintaining the core of real food. Real food. Anything not real food is going to be higher in calories. Rick Diaz, thanks for the super chat, bro. Can you explain why more frequent, smaller dosing of an aromatase inhibitor might increase the risk of crashing? I explained it earlier, but I'll explain it again. The half-life of a anastrozole is 48 hours. But people confuse half-life with terminal life. The drug is not out of your system, nor has it stopped blocking aromatase enzymes at day 2 or 3. At day 4, it's still blocking aromatase enzymes. At day 6, it is still blocking aromatase enzymes, albeit to a lesser extent as the drug filters out of your system. So what you start doing by every other day dosing is you overlap on inhibition of aromatase enzymes, and you're going to crash the estrogen. You're just going to crash it. Or you're going to have maybe 18 estradiol, but just tissue level estrogen because this is where it's blocking the aromatase enzymes at your joint tissue, at your cardiac tissue, at everywhere, where it's a lot less than even what the serum would allow you to, think it is. The tissues, we don't have any way to measure that. And we think the serum is a surrogate. It's a close surrogate. It's a useful surrogate. But in the end, we have no idea. So, in these cases, because of that overlap based on the half-life of the drug, which is 48 hours, but the terminal life is like 8 days, you're going to overlap inhibition of aromatase enzymes into fucking giving your body a deficiency in estradiol at various tissues. And the kind of problems that come along with that are horrific. I've had guys injure themselves at the gym with the wrong doses of aromatase and the wrong frequency. This is why I'm a once-a-week guy. Really carefully dosing that shit unless you're, one of those crazy PFS cases. Injuries at the gym that last a month, dude. And they're in excruciating pain. You don't want that. You don't want that. What do you think about U.S.-Iran talks in Islamabad? Don't really have an opinion on it. I went to the Iraq War and I don't know. I mean, sometimes war is necessary and other times, I guess it probably isn't. For America to stay in a strong stance to be respected, so that people aren't out there willy nilly being fucking lunatics, like some countries, we won't name names, but some countries might be in their general demeanor, but that demeanor in pursuit of nuclear weapons is probably not a good idea for them to be doing that. You know, we've been at war with them this entire time, dude. There were Iranian people that trained the Mahdi army in Sadr City specifically to fashion a fucking Dishka round into a sniper rifle, which ended up killing a staff sergeant of mine, a section sergeant of my platoon, in front of me. Iranians trained those guys. You know, they're not an innocuous group, dude. They're not. So, you know, I'm not saying I'm pro-war, nor do I agree with Trump and what he's deciding to do, but there's a lot you don't know about Iran and what goes on over there and what the necessity may or may not be to fucking, you know, drop the fucking hammer, dude. Test prop and mass prop combo with HCG is really fun to mess with. They synergize very well together and it's more fun and user-friendly to dial in. Yeah, totally. I mean, I've done content on this before. It's kind of the best way. It's one of the best ways to do it. As long as you're conscious that you could block estrogen receptors a little too much and have side effects, with Masteron, then and you do that carefully, you do all this stuff carefully, I think you'll have a great time. It's just that the half-lives measure up, you know? If you're getting a propionate ester and a propionate ester, they measure up. So you can tightly dial that in. Well, on cream, so that you understand where you are on peak and trough, you should do a peak and trough. So trough would be the morning before application, peak would be as late as Quest is open. That's how you get a good idea for where the hell your bloods are going throughout. You know, you could see, are you an extreme weird responder where you peak super high, but then at trough you're hypogonadal literally, and estrogen sitting at 12.2. I mean, I've got guys like that too. So we've got to be throwing shoulder pumps in at like 4 p.m. to prevent them from crashing at night. That kind of stuff happens. It's not common, but that's why you want to test at peak and trough. Is there a natural supplement stack equivalent of Vyvanse Ritalin? Yeah, it'd be like 9 MEBC in 40 milligrams, about 100 milligrams of teacrine, and I think that alone, maybe 50 to 100 milligrams of dynamine on top of that. I think that alone would do it. And you could make it a better stack by adding 500 milligrams of aniracetam or so and like 50 milligrams of citicoline. Favorite beer? All right, let's talk about it, dude. I've been into sours lately, so I truly like sours. Victory Sour Monkey is probably one of my favorite sours, but it's 280 calories per can. Victory Berry Monkey is also a very good sour. Beer-wise, though, I like German beers, Spaten, Kronenborg. Probably never heard of those. Beck's St. Pauli Girl, which doesn't get made anymore, which is a tragedy. Those are incredible beers. I like Bass. I like Amstel Light. I like New England. What is it? Newcastle Brown Ale. Any kind of brown ale. I'm not a Guinness person. I think it's so fucking cliche. Oh, let me get a Guinness. I'm cool. There's plenty more dark stouts that are way better than Guinness. Guinness is an absolute, like, it's like fucking Miller Lite for Irish people, dude. Seriously. You know, it's a good beer. All Canadian beers are fucking phenomenal. Labatt Blue, Molson Golden. Those are incredible beers. Moosehead, another Canadian beer. Incredible beers when extremely cold. They are so good drinking beers. If you want a good drinking beer, just get Molson Golden or Moosehead. Make it really cold and put it in a chilled mug, and you will enjoy that beer, dude. Crisp and incredible. You can drink 4 of them, and it's like not heavy, and you know, get a nice little controlled buzz. Therefore, very good. Otherwise, I don't know. I mean, I'm nothing. I mean, those are pretty much the beers that I like over the years. Yeah, I used to be into stouts, not really these days. You know, something good and light. I'll tell you what I hate: Michelob Ultra. Terrible fucking beer. Promoted everywhere just because it's 90-something calories, you know, whatever. Of course, it's 4.5% alcohol. Of course, it's going to have 90 calories. I like ciders, okay? Arsenal makes a event blend that is a ginger cider. It is phenomenal. It is very pricey, but it is phenomenal. Angry Orchard is okay. You know, Crisp Apple is a good Angry Orchard one. I'm more though a tequila guy than anything. You know, I'll have some beers, but I truly just like Don Julio in a shot. A Don Julio with ice and Coke, either caffeinated Coke or caffeine-free Coke. It's actually fucking phenomenal. And I love making jalapeno infused margaritas, like really hot jalapenos that sit and can make the margarita very hot, spicy. There's nothing like that, man. How do you keep E2 in range while drinking and meeting women at the bar? Well, drinking is not going to catastrophically increase your E2 unless you're a severe alcoholic. That's how. You know, body fat, controlling your hormone profile is predominantly how you control estrogen. But yeah, no, I mean, it's really not that big of a difference, you know. On vacation, I drank more than usual, but, you know, 4 or 5 times a week, I'm having a couple of drinks a night. These days, at least. Especially because it's nicer outside. My girl and I will go outside and make some jalapeno-infused margaritas. It's pretty cool. It doesn't really change my estrogen much at all. It never did. So, I not that I think those things aren't influential, but usually they end up being scapegoats for, you know, what really does drive elevated estrogen, which is, you know, over aromatizing too much testosterone, and not having a strategy to control that estrogen while you're on TRT, you know, or have it in the right place for you. There's all manner of things you can do to control estrogen, and freaky shit you can do. I mean, like, I have one guy, so this is a +1 for the pro estrogen people, who couldn't dial in at lower doses. We got the estrogen perfectly in range. Couldn't quite dial in. You know, sexual function was there, but there was no wow factor. And this guy was like, I want to feel the spikes. I want to feel like I'm going absolutely nuts for my girl. Guess what we ended up doing? Baseline HCG, 100 IU a day. Fucking 150 a test Cypionate every 3.5 days. Guy's on 300 milligrams a week. Estrogen is elevated, but it's not affecting his EQ. And he finally has the crazy libido, you know? When I went on cycle, I got to tell you, man, as the estrogen was creeping up, before it gave me ED, because it did, I had very strong libido. And then once I had controlled the estrogen, especially as it was on its way down, but with all that androgen signaling, my libido was very, very high. So the fast-acting nature of oral testosterone, yeah, will be different than the fast-acting nature of prop and cream. Yeah, almost definitely. And these things that you're referring to are out quicker as far as I can tell. Bing, that. It's out quicker. It's out of your system quicker. So yeah, I think so. I think so, my brother. How to boost libido in postmenopausal women. Number one, they should be on estrogen. Low to moderate dose estrogen, whatever doesn't give them side effects and have them have frequent periods again. Secondly, testosterone. Yeah, that's your answer. TRT. TRT for women. And, you know, the doses run the gamut, but I've studied this, right? The women that feel phenomenal on exogenous TRT are in the 160 to 180 roughly nanograms per deciliter range of total testosterone. To get there, you know, they got to be at 8 milligrams twice a week or something like that. You know, that's like a reasonable place to get them in that zone. It's right in the line where above which they're going to have virilization and then below which they're not going to quite feel optimal. But these ladies feel fucking phenomenal, you know, superwoman. And that would make sense. And their libido is insane. I'm lucky, like my chick, she does HRT, both a little bit of testosterone and estradiol. But prior to that, she's always just had a very high libido. So there's no problem with libido. And these things have helped, just intensified it. So she's ready to go like all the time. Lots of alcohol police out there in this space. Nothing wrong with a few cold ones. Never noticed any negative impact on E2. Yeah, me neither, really. Sarah Monkey's solid choice, great flavor and strong. Oh, it's so boozy, too. It's so boozy. That's why I like it. But it just can go, you know. If you're drinking a lot of Sour Monkeys, you've really got to be watching your cardio. Like, I got to be like, okay, let's skip pizza night tonight. Even I know this is our pizza night. Too many Sour Monkeys in the last 2 days. Like, so I just killed them. I don't even drink Sour Monkeys anymore, but I like them. You know, I'll just have clear liquor and, you know, a good cider or something and margaritas. But yeah, there are a lot of alcohol police. Again, I just think it's a lot of people misascribing like the reasons for over aromatization. You know, it's like it's genetic for some people, and they've got to see if they can get a hold of that or situate a TRT protocol for it to make sense. And it's bad protocols, you know. Like if you got a guy that is like very good and dialed in on TRT and has pretty normal, like optimal aromatization, like doesn't over aromatize, it's like pretty good. You can't like have that dude drink himself into fucking, you know, super physiologic estradiol that causes his dick to have problems. It's pretty hard. It's pretty hard. Yeah, I've never tried the Golden Monkey. I don't think that's a sour though, right? I think that's like was it like an IPA or something? Yeah, drank 5. Oh my god, dude. Yeah, I couldn't. No more than 2 a night when I was drinking Sour Monkeys. They're 9%, dude. You know, one of them is 2 5% beers, roughly 4.5 or 4.7. So, I mean, you drink 2 of them, you're drinking 4 fucking beers, and you can do that really quickly because they're so tasty. And then you're like, whoa, I'm way more buzzed than I wanted to be. It's a weird one when it creeps up on you. Last night, Jill and I went to dinner at this place called Ditka's, and I asked for a margarita with Don Julio, and they must have, because I've been going to that place for like 4 years, and I know everybody there. They must have just been like, all right, it's Ryan, let's give him a good one. I'm fucking like a half into the drink, and I'm like, dude, did they dump like 3 shots in here? And it creeps up on you. It ain't fun, bro, especially when you weren't planning on that. I had to shift into fucking drinking water and eating bread. Brothers! I ended up fine, though, thankfully. Woke up feeling like woke up at 6:30 this morning. It is what it is. Sometimes you got to do that. You get up. I was in bed at 10:30, though. I mean, that's. I need 6.5, 7 hours, and then I'm golden. Tell you what, you know, for you people asking if I'm if I'm going to do anything, cycles or whatever, I'm getting very, very antsy. If I'm on the same thing for too long, okay, I've mastered it. I've mastered cream, mastered every ester, and I know what to do with everything. So it's like I kind of like changing things and getting different results. The only thing I would do is just something for more anabolism. You know, try to really get a 6-month stint of growing and whatever. And frankly, I mean, Cypionate and they're more anabolic esters for me and for most folks. There's always running some Anavar as well. I could definitely do without having to wait 4 hours to take a shower after cream. I mean, it's inconvenient, but I'm not really looking to jump the gun anytime soon. But those are the reasons I might do something. Mostly boredom. Mostly just boredom. Could go on cycle again. Take my hematocrit to 52. That's not a great idea. Not a great idea. Going to Quest this week. Would you say 6 a.m. apply the cream before going, and then for my appointment at 9 a.m.? No, that's not what I mean. I think you should. When do you apply the cream? You should apply the cream 8, 9 in the morning, is what I would say. But you go to Quest before then to get your trough, and then you go again at like 4 or 5 p.m. to get as close to the peak as you can get. That is what I would suggest, my brother. My brother in test. You're my brother in test. All of you guys are my brothers in test. You know that? Brothers in test. I don't really have much plans today. Going to go hang out with Jill and do some gardening at her house. She's got some gardening stuff to do. Other than that, not a whole lot. Pittsburgh's getting ready for the NFL draft, which is going to be here. They're hosting it here, so it's going to be an absolute madhouse in late April. I'm not going to want anything to do with it because, essentially everything will be shut down. Like major pathways to get in and out of the city are going to be shut down. You can only take the T, which is like our version of the subway. It's not going to be fun. I'm going to have to run on the south side, which is fine. But I ain't looking forward to it, brother. Take that shit elsewhere. Hey, Ryan, hope you're doing well, brother. Do you have any good suggestions on peptides for a Spartan mud run? Not really. I mean, the growth hormone optimizing peptides, sermorelin, ipamorelin, really be my only suggestion here. You know, I don't think. I mean, if you could run a prophylactic dose of TB500 to ensure that you're supplying yourself enough thymosin beta 4 to repair tissues should you get some injuries or minor injuries or some atrophy of certain shit as you're doing this. I mean, I think that's a pretty long bout of exercise you're about to do, so that would be huge. The thing that I would most suggest is have glucose and sodium on hand. That's what I would most suggest. Yeah, dextrose preferably for your glucose, substrate, and salt tabs. If you can get dissolvable sodium tablets, that would be great. People forget how critical carbohydrates are for performance, dude. My life is different with like 5 teaspoons, pretty heaping teaspoons of dextrose before the gym versus without it. How much glycogen you're burning at the gym? It's a lot. So I would be conscious of the glucose. If you can bring some dextrose tablets, or if you can make a drink with some dextrose in it that you kind of periodically sip, you're going to have a lot better of a time. But make sure that prior to this thing, you have enough glucose and sodium. Really hard to resist a cycle urge for betel on TRT, but can't beat the feeling of growing and crazy animal. Yeah, it's awesome. Hey, look, if you're not dating, or, if your girl goes, okay, for 3 or 4 months, sex function might be a little wacky until you dial in an AI or, you get the right ratios. Go at it. You be an understanding girlfriend or wife, then, you should be okay. But if you're not dating and don't care to be, hey, look, you could always do that down the line. Go turn into an animal, bro. Go turn into an animal. Yeah. Yeah, cycles are hard to feel completely good. I felt like a fucking Greek god, but there were times where I felt like a little overstimulated and, whatever, but nothing major. 30 milligrams test prop. 15 milligrams Primo daily. Okay. 12 to 25 per Viron. 100 IU HCG 75 HMG. To daily goal. Okay. Got it. I don't know what you're asking there, but that looks interesting. Increase anabolism control too. I mean, that you're doing the right things if you're trying to reach those goals. Yeah. So you might be okay. I think the HEG HMG combo might give you some benefits, seemingly redundant, but might be all right. Farmeric added 100 milligrams test sip to 15 milligrams a day. Oh, wait, what? Is there any benefit to daily to say Monday, Wednesday, Friday? Yeah, just a little less peaks in estradiol. So but it's hard. There's one dynamic about the long esters that you got to be careful of. At the lower end doses, you can tolerate less estradiol. Like, you can't tolerate estrogen much. It's got to be really tightly in that 25 range at the lower end doses. I've seen people go to 35 and they have erectile problems, right? Because the androgen tone isn't that big. So once you get up, though, in the 140 to 200 range, you can tolerate a little more estradiol, but not substantially. So it's like, because you have higher androgen tone, but people divvy that ratio between androgens and estradiol differently. So you got to be really careful. Down at 15 milligrams a day, what's that, 105 a week, right? If you did it Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I don't think that would be catastrophic. You wouldn't have significant peaks in estradiol, I don't think, unless you're an over-aromatizer. Where I live, there's no PT141. Well, you can get that on the web. What is our other options having the same effect? MT2. Yeah. What do you suggest if someone wants to go to the bar to meet women but doesn't want to drink? Get a Coke. Get a Coke and a Red Bull or something. Yeah, I mean, that's very easy. Yeah. I never went to the bars to meet. Well, I did it at various points, but it wasn't like a huge thing of mine. And there were various points in my life where I didn't drink, and I would just get a Coke, dude. Get a Coke. Or get yourself a virgin drink. Have them make you a virgin drink, and you don't have to tell her. Be like, hey, I'm drinking a margarita. Simple as that, bro. Simple as that. But, it means you'll have to be able to tolerate caffeine if it's Coke at between 5 and 7 p.m., which your body will eventually get used to. You might have some sleep disruption initially, but your body gets used to that and you'll be fine. There was a point for me where, because of this used to dynamic, like I was drinking coffee itself at 7 p.m. I slept fine. Body gets used to it, That's what I'd suggest, bro. Or you figure out how you can, have a very low alcohol kind of thing. You just ask for like a shot of whatever you can tolerate or whatever you like. Fill it with some, triple sec lime juice if it's tequila, whatever else, and just slowly sip that thing. And, isn't going to be crazy. No, we're not talking about sources here, brother. All right, boys, I'm going to end the stream. Questions are getting scant. Hope you guys are enjoying the weekend. I hope wherever you are, you have nice weather, and that you're close to putting an end to the seasonal winter blues, because they suck shit, and we all know that. I have booked a total of 8 slots so far on coaching. I've slashed the prices significantly. For an intake window, we do these twice a year. The moment that they're booked up, not only are prices going back to their original price, but it's likely that coaching will be unavailable for a couple months after we get these booked. So keep that in mind. Book at livecortex.com or down in the description. There's no coupon codes. You just add the whatever coaching to your cart, check out, and you're good to go. I'll reach out to you the next day or that day, and we start the fact-finding call and begin. Otherwise, brothers, enjoy your weekend. I'll see you this week for content, loads of content all week. I got some other YouTubers like Ryan Root, Dave Lee, and there's one more that I'm trying to get on the podcast so we can do some more collabs. So look forward to that. Otherwise, kick ass, rock on. I'll talk to you boys in the next one. Peace.